My wife went on a silent retreat with her rich friend. Except her friend was posting from Italy the whole time. I'm still trying to process what the hell just happened. My wife Alina just got back from what was supposed to be a week-long silent meditation retreat, and I'm starting to think nothing about that trip was what she told me. Some background. Alina's a kindergarten teacher, one of those genuinely sweet people who get stressed easily. We've been married 6 years and things have been fine. Not amazing, but fine. She's been really burnt out lately with work stuff, so when her friend Juliet invited her on this retreat, I actually encouraged her to go. Juliet Thorne is this woman Alina knows from college. They reconnected about a year ago. Juliet's one of those tech people who sold her startup and became stupid rich, like multimillionaire rich. She's always doing these elaborate wellness things, and honestly, she's a bit intense for my taste, but Alina seemed to enjoy having a friend with that kind of lifestyle. So 2 weeks ago, Juliet invited Alina to this 7-day silent spa retreat in the mountains. The whole pitch was very specific. All women, complete silence, no phones allowed, total digital detox. Meditation, yoga, healthy food, the works. It was expensive as hell, but Juliet was paying for everything as a gift. Alina seemed nervous but excited. She's never done anything like that before. I had zero concerns. Like none. It made perfect sense. Alina needed a break. The no phones thing explained why she wouldn't be texting much. It was all female, so no sketchy situation. And Juliet's a bit weird but not shady or anything. Alina left on a Tuesday morning. I drove her to the airport, kissed her goodbye, told her to relax and enjoy herself. She seemed anxious, but in that normal, I've never done this before way. First 2 days were quiet. She'd texted me once from the airport before boarding, then nothing. Expected, right? Silent retreat means silent. Then on Thursday, I was scrolling Instagram and I saw Juliet's story. She was posting from freaking Venice, like clearly in Italy. Beautiful canal shots, espresso, the whole tourist thing. I stared at my phone for a solid minute. Juliet's supposed to be at some mountain retreat with my wife, but she was in Europe. I sent Alina a message. Hey babe, hope the retreat is going well, love you. 6 hours later she replied, it's good, tired, signal is weak here, talk soon Zoe, okay. Weird that there was signal at all if phones were banned, but maybe they had emergency check-in times or something. Then Juliet posted from Rome, then Positano. This woman was on a full Italian vacation. I texted Alina again, how's the retreat? Juliet's stories look like she's in Italy lol. Thought you guys were together. Alina's response came the next day. Can't really talk. Very intense program. Will explain when I get home. That's when my stomach started doing that thing where you know something was wrong but you couldn't put your finger on it. I called Juliet directly. It went to voicemail. I left a message asking if everything was okay with the retreat. She never called back. Alina came home yesterday and guys, she was different. I know that sounds vague, but I can't explain it better than that. She walked through the door and it was like looking at a slightly altered version of my wife. She was quiet. Way too quiet even for someone who just did a week of silence. Barely made eye contact. When I hugged her, she felt stiff. How was it? I asked. Good, really good. I'm exhausted though. Want to tell me about it? Maybe tomorrow, I just need to sleep. She went straight to the bedroom and crashed. I started unpacking her suitcase because I'm helpful like that, and that's when I found it. A boarding pass, printed, tucked into the side pocket of her luggage. Destination, Milan Malpensa Airport. Not some mountain retreat. Milan, Italy. I held that boarding pass for probably 10 minutes just staring at it. Then I went into our bedroom where Alina was already asleep and just watched her breathe, trying to figure out what the hell was going on. This morning I asked her about Italy. She looked panicked for a split second, then recovered. Oh, yeah. Juliet got invited to do a keynote speech in Milan last minute, so she shifted the retreat location to a place outside Florence. It was actually really beautiful. I didn't mention it because I didn't want you to think I was bragging about going to Italy or whatever. It sounded reasonable, almost. Except why would a silent retreat move internationally on short notice? Why wouldn't she have mentioned this before she left? Why did her texts sound so evasive? I want to believe her. I really do. But I've got this sick feeling in my gut that won't go away. She's wearing a new bracelet I've never seen before. Delicate gold thing that probably cost more than I make in a month. And there's a silk scarf in her suitcase that definitely wasn't there before. When I asked about them, she said Juliet gave them to her as retreat gifts. Maybe I'm paranoid. Maybe there's a perfectly normal explanation. But something about the way she won't look me in the eye is making my skin crawl. Am I crazy here? What do I even ask at this point? Update 1. It's been 4 days since my original post. I wish I could say things got better. They got so much worse. Thanks for all the comments on my first post. A lot of you told me to contact Juliet directly, so I did. Yesterday afternoon I called her. It rang twice and she picked up. Grant, hey, is everything okay? Yeah, I wanted to ask you about the retreat. Alina just got back and she seems really off. Did something happen there? Long pause, like uncomfortably long. Grant, what retreat? My heart literally skipped. The silent retreat in the mountains, the one you invited Alina to. I didn't invite Alina to any retreat. The floor dropped out from under me. What? She said you invited her to a week-long silent retreat. Then she said it moved to Italy because you had a keynote speech. Grant, Juliet's voice got really serious. I've been in Europe for 3 weeks, solo trip. I haven't seen Alina since April. We had coffee and she mentioned being stressed and I said she should try a retreat sometime, but I never invited her to anything. I couldn't breathe. I sat down hard on the couch. So where the hell was my wife for a week? I don't know, but Grant, you need to talk to her, like now. I hung up and just sat there for probably 20 minutes trying to figure out how to even approach this. Alina was at work. I texted her, we need to talk when you get home, it's important. She came home around 4:30. I was waiting in the living room. What's wrong? She asked, already defensive. I talked to Juliet. Alina went white, actually white. She never invited you anywhere. She's been in Italy alone for 3 weeks. So where were you, Alina? Where the hell were you for a week? She started crying immediately. Not the gentle crying either, full body sobs, the kind where you can barely breathe. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Grant. I messed up so bad. I felt like I was watching this happen to someone else. What did you do? She couldn't get words out, just kept crying. Finally, she whispered, I need to show you something. She went to the bathroom and came back with a pregnancy test. Positive. My brain short-circuited. I'm pregnant. I did the math instantly. We haven't had sex in almost 2 months. We'd stopped trying after the miscarriage last year. It was too painful. We'd been careful, always careful. That's not possible, I said slowly. We haven't. It can't be mine. She collapsed onto the couch, still sobbing. I know it's not, Grant. I'm so sorry. The room was spinning. Who? I don't know, I laughed, actually laughed, because what else do? You don't know, Alina, what the actual hell does that mean? It means I don't know. She was almost screaming now. I don't remember. There was more than one and I don't remember. I stood up. I had to stand up or I was going to throw up. Start from the beginning, right now, all of it. She wiped her face, took a shaky breath and started talking. There's this woman Juliet knows, Aria. She does these events. Wellness retreats, but not like normal ones. They're exclusive, very private, for women who want to break out of their normal lives for a bit. Break out how? There's drinking, drugs, men, rich men. It's all very discreet. Aria sent me an invitation through Instagram 3 months ago. Said Juliet had recommended me. Juliet recommended you to a freaking sex party. It wasn't supposed to be about sex. It was about freedom and empowerment and trying new things. I was so stressed, Grant. So freaking stressed and tired, and I felt invisible. And the invitation made it sound like this enlightening experience where you could be anyone you wanted for a week. So you went. I went. I flew to Milan and it was at this gorgeous villa in Tuscany. Everything was beautiful and expensive and everyone there was so confident and wealthy and put together. The first night there was wine and music and everyone was dancing. Someone gave me something, I don't know, it felt amazing, like I was floating, like nothing mattered. I felt sick. There were these men. They were charming and attentive and made me feel beautiful. I kissed one of them, maybe 2. Things got blurry. Jesus Christ, Alina. I don't remember most of it. I swear to you, Grant, it's like pieces of a dream. I woke up the next morning alone in a bed and I didn't know where I was or what I'd done. The rest of the week was more of the same. I kept taking what they gave me because I didn't want to feel the shame. By the time I came home, I'd convinced myself it didn't really happen, that it was just a weird dream. Until you took the pregnancy test. Until I took the test. We sat in silence, I don't even know for how long. Finally, I asked, "Do you know any of their names?" She shook her head. "I remember faces, but not names except—" She stopped. "Except what?" "One of them. I think he said his name was Chris. He had dark hair and an expensive watch. He was very persistent. He kept finding me throughout the week. Chris, something about that name tickled the back of my brain. I grabbed my phone and called Juliet again. It was 10 p.m., but I didn't care. "Grant, did you know about someone named Arya, someone who throws these exclusive party events?" Silence. Then, oh my God, Grant, I think I know what happened. I'll call you back." She hung up. I looked at Alina, who was staring at her hands. "Pack a bag," I said. "What? Pack a bag and go stay with your sister. I need you out of the house right now." "Grant, please get out." She left 20 minutes later. I sat alone in our house, staring at the walls, wondering how my entire life had collapsed in less than a week. Juliet called back at midnight. "Grant, I'm so sorry. I do know Arya. She's a wellness influencer I met years ago. She does legitimate retreats, but I'd heard rumors about her exclusive events. I never thought. I mentioned to Alina once that she seemed stressed and should try something adventurous. I was talking about travel or a cooking class or something normal. I never dreamed she'd interpret that as permission to go to one of Arya's parties. Can you contact this Arya, find out what happened?" "I'll try." "Grant, I'm coming back to the States tomorrow. We'll figure this out." I haven't slept. Alina's been texting me constantly, apologizing, begging me to talk to her. I haven't responded. I don't know what to do. I don't know if there's anything to do. My wife is pregnant with some random rich guy's baby and I don't even know who he is. How do you come back from this? Update 2. So after this update, I'm probably going dark for a while because I can't keep reliving this nightmare. Juliet flew back 2 days ago. She called me yesterday morning, voice shaking. "Grant, I found out who it is." My stomach dropped. "Who?" "It's my husband, Chris Thorne." I literally had to pull over. I was driving to work and I just stopped the car on the side of the road because I couldn't process what she just said. "Your husband." I confronted Arya. She admitted Alina was at the event. She sent me photos. "Grant, there are photos of my husband with your wife." I could hear her crying through the phone. "I'm filing for divorce today, but you need to see these. You need to know what happened." She sent me a link. I clicked it, and there was my wife. Alina in a dress I'd never seen before, eyes glassy and unfocused, laughing at something. Chris Thorne next to her, hand on her waist. Another photo of them dancing, her head on his shoulder. Another of them walking down a hallway, his arm around her. The last photo was the worst. They were standing outside a bedroom door. He was leaning down, saying something to her. She was smiling up at him, her hand on his chest. I closed my eyes, but I could still see it. Juliet's voice cracked. "There's video too, from the hallway camera." Arya sent it to me as proof. She sent it. In the video, Alina and Chris walked down the hallway, both clearly drunk or high or both. At the door, Chris said something I couldn't hear. Alina laughed, nodded. Then she reached up and pulled him down into a kiss. She kissed him first. She took his hand and led him into the room. The door closed behind them. I watched it 3 times, hoping I'd see something different. I didn't. "Grant." Juliet's voice was small. "I filed the paperwork this morning. I'm done. I can't look at him." "What did he say when you confronted him?" "He said Alina was willing, that they were both consenting adults, that it was just physical and meant nothing. He acted like I was overreacting." Jesus. "I know. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry Alina did this to you, and I'm sorry my husband was part of it." We stayed on the phone for another hour, 2 people whose spouses had betrayed them in the exact same place with the exact same lies. I called Alina. "Did you know?" I asked when she picked up. "Know what?" "That Chris was Juliet's husband." Silence. Long, horrible silence. "Oh my God. Did you know?" "No, Grant, I swear I had no idea. I didn't even know his last name. He just said his name was Chris and he worked in finance or something." Juliet sent me the video, Alina. She started crying again. What video? The hallway video of you leading him into that bedroom. I don't remember that. I don't remember doing that. I wasn't myself. I was on drugs. I didn't know what I was doing. But you knew enough to get on a plane to Italy. You knew enough to lie to me for weeks. You knew enough to go to that villa and take whatever they offered you. Grant, please, I want a divorce. I hung up. Then I texted my lawyer. Juliet and I have been talking every day since. We're the only two people who understand what this feels like. To have your spouse betray you with someone else's spouse. To be collateral damage in someone else's moment of freedom. Her divorce is moving faster than mine because they have a prenup. Chris is about to lose everything. Good. Alina hasn't stopped calling. She showed up at my apartment yesterday. I moved out last week, and I had to threaten to call the police before she'd leave. She keeps saying she doesn't remember, that she wasn't in control, that the drugs made her do things she'd never normally do. Maybe that's true. Maybe she really doesn't remember kissing Chris, or leading him into that room, or sleeping with him while I was at home thinking she was at some peaceful retreat finding herself. But she remembers lying to me. She remembers booking that trip. She remembers choosing to go. And that's the part I can't forgive. The baby is probably Chris's, though he's denying paternity until the DNA test comes back. I almost hope it's his, just so Alina has to face Juliet knowing she's raising the child of the man who destroyed both our marriages. I'm tired. I'm so freaking tired. Next update will be the last one, assuming there's anything left to tell. Final update. It's been over 10 months since everything exploded. I wasn't sure I'd post again, but what happened yesterday changed everything, and I need to get this out. The divorce was finalized. Alina and I are completely done. She had the baby last month, a boy. DNA confirmed it's Chris's. He has to pay for child support, but apparently he wants nothing to do with the baby. Alina has been texting me constantly since, always the same stuff about how sorry she is, how she was manipulated, how she wasn't in control. I eventually blocked her number 3 weeks ago. I moved to a studio apartment in Ravenswood in October. Got a rescue dog named Benny who's scared of everything but sleeps on my feet at night. My brother and I play basketball every Tuesday now, which has been good. Started seeing someone casually a few weeks ago, nothing serious. Life was starting to feel almost normal. Here's the thing though, lately I've been lying awake at night wondering if I was too harsh. Alina kept saying she didn't remember, that she was drugged, that Chris took advantage of her. Part of me started thinking, what if she was telling the truth? What if I abandoned my wife when she needed me most? What if she really was a victim and I just couldn't see past my own hurt? She did choose to go on that retreat by herself, but what happened after? If she really wasn't conscious enough to consent, that's a different story entirely. Then yesterday Juliet called. We've stayed in touch sporadically, mostly legal stuff about Chris, but we haven't actually met up since everything went down. Grant, I need to see you. It's important. It's about Alina and Chris. We met at a coffee shop in Lincoln Park this morning. Juliet looked different. She cut her hair short, looks healthier somehow. She sat down across from me and didn't waste time. I've been going through Chris's laptop for the divorce proceedings. My lawyer found some things. She pulled out her phone. Grant, they were having an affair, even before the Italy trip, for at least 4 months before. I felt my stomach drop. What? She showed me screenshots. Text messages between Alina and Chris starting from April. Flirty at first, then sexual, then planning meetings. Hotel receipts from June and July. Photos of them together at a bar I recognized, the one 3 blocks from my house. There's more, Juliet said quietly. Emails between them and Arya. They planned the whole thing together. Alina asked Arya to send her the invitation so she'd have proof to show you if you ever got suspicious. The retreat story, the silent spa, all of it, they coordinated it. She showed me an email from Alina to Chris dated 2 weeks before the trip. Grant believed the retreat story completely. We'll have the whole week. I'm so ready for this. I love you. I love you. My hands were shaking. The drugs, her saying she didn't remember. I found messages from after they got back. Chris texted her, stick to the story. You were drugged and don't remember. He'll never know we planned this. Alina responded, what if Juliet finds out? Chris, she won't. And if she does, same story, we were both victims of the party scene. I couldn't breathe. She's been lying this whole time. The pregnancy wasn't an accident either. There's a message from August where Alina tells Chris she stopped taking birth control in July because she wanted something permanent with him. She got pregnant on purpose, Grant. She wanted his baby. Juliet's hands were shaking as she scrolled through more messages. After you kicked her out, she and Chris kept meeting. She was staying at some extended stay hotel and he'd visit her. They only stopped when I filed for divorce and Chris's lawyer told him to cut contact. Jesus Christ. The crying, the apologies, I don't remember. It was all an act. She remembers everything. She planned everything. She chose him over you, and when it blew up, she tried to play victim so you'd feel guilty. We sat there in silence. I felt like someone had scooped out my insides. I'm sorry, Juliet said. I know you were starting to wonder if you'd been too hard on her. I was wondering the same thing about Chris, but this is who they are. They're not victims. They're just liars. She's right. Alina's been texting me for months, playing the traumatized wife, knowing the whole time that she'd orchestrated everything. She looked me in the eye and lied about not remembering, about being manipulated, about all of it. I drove home, walked Benny, and sat on my couch staring at the wall for probably 2 hours. Alina sent me a text this afternoon. She must have gotten a new number. Grant, please. I need to talk to you. The baby looks like you. What if we were wrong about the DNA? Please give me one more chance. The baby looks like you. She's still lying, still manipulating, even now. I forwarded the text to Juliet. She replied, don't engage. She's desperate. Chris stopped paying support last week and she's broke. So that's what this was really about. She burned through whatever money she had and now she's trying to crawl back. I forwarded the text to my lawyer. He sent her a formal cease and desist letter that afternoon. Any further attempts to contact me and we're filing for a restraining order. Then I deleted the text, blocked the new number. My date texted asking if I want to get dinner Friday. I said yes. My lease is up in 3 months and I'm thinking about moving closer to my brother's place in Logan Square. Benny's barking at the mailman outside. The Bulls game is on tonight. Life keeps moving forward. Without Alina, without the lies, without constantly wondering if I'm the crazy one for not believing her. I'm not crazy. She's just a really good liar. That's it. That's my final update. To everyone who told me to trust my gut from the beginning, you were right. To those who said some people will lie straight to your face even when caught, you were right too. Thanks for everything, Reddit. I'm done here. Edit. For everyone asking about the evidence, yes, Juliet's lawyer has all of it. Yes, it's being used in her divorce proceedings. No, I'm not going after Alina for anything beyond the divorce we already finalized. I just want her out of my life completely. Yes, she finally stopped trying to contact me after the cease and desist. And no, Juliet and I are not dating. We're just 2 people who got screwed over by the same 2 liars, helping each other survive it. My wife announced she was opening our marriage before her 6-week work retreat. She just came back to find the locks changed and had a meltdown in front of the entire neighborhood. I need to get this off my chest because I honestly can't believe this is my life right now. My wife Courtney and I have been married for 7 years. We have a 5-year-old daughter, Luna. I'm an IT tech at a large hospital system, nothing glamorous but stable. Courtney works as a marketing and community manager for a chain of high-end yoga studios. Though honestly it seems like half her job is just posting Instagram stories and going to networking events. For the past 6 months, things have been off. Courtney got really involved with this new friend group, all women who are into this divine feminine energy and soft life stuff. Lots of talk about manifestation, empowerment, and how traditional relationship structures are limiting. I tried to be supportive even though it felt like she was speaking a different language half the time. The real issue started with her boss, Damien. He's the regional director, married with 2 kids, very charismatic guy who leads these leadership retreats that look more like resort vacations based on Courtney's Instagram. Over the past few months, Courtney's been working late more often, going on more team trips, posting photos of champagne by pools and sunset yoga sessions. Not a single spreadsheet or presentation in sight. 3 weeks ago, it all came to a head. It was a Tuesday evening. Luna was coloring in the living room, I was making dinner, and Courtney walked into the kitchen with this energy like she'd just rehearsed a speech. She said, and I quote, "I've decided I'm opening our marriage. This isn't cheating, it's growth. You should be grateful I'm being honest." I just stood there holding a wooden spoon, trying to process what she just said. She continued that she was going on a 6-week leadership immersion in Arizona with Damien and a few other core team members. She kept using corporate buzzwords like authentic alignment and emotional expansion. I asked one simple question: is the company paying for this trip or are you? She got defensive immediately, saying I was being financially controlling and that it was an investment in her spiritual future. I stayed calm. I told her, if you get on that plane with him, consider yourself stepping out of this marriage, not just going on a work trip. She rolled her eyes and said I was threatened by her growth and lacked evolved thinking. 2 days later, she left. New luggage, resort outfits, the whole 9 yards. She sent Luna a video message about how mommy will come back better. Here's where it gets interesting. That same night after she left, I was clearing some papers from our shared desk and her laptop was still open. I saw a draft email she'd written to Damien 2 weeks earlier. It wasn't sent yet, but it was clearly ready to go. The email said, "I can't wait for this retreat. Once it's done, I'm ready to make the move. Denver sounds perfect for us. We'll figure out the details with Luna and the transition once I'm back." There were also text message screenshots she'd saved to a folder, flirty messages between her and Damien going back months. Counting down the days until Arizona, finally getting to spend real time with you, stuff like that. My stomach dropped. I'd known something was going on between them for a while. How could I not, when every cheating sign imaginable was practically waving in my face? But there's a difference between suspecting and seeing the proof. This wasn't just a work trip or even just an emotional affair. She was planning to leave me for him and take Luna to another state. I took screenshots of everything. I copied the files. I backed everything up to the cloud and an external drive. Then I called a family lawyer the next morning. The lawyer took one look at everything and said this looked like someone building a false domestic violence narrative to win custody and assets. She told me to document everything: Luna's daily routine, who takes care of her, school communications, medical appointments. She advised me to notify Luna's school and pediatrician that only I had permission to take her out of state. I also separated our finances. I moved my direct deposit to a new individual account, but left enough money in our joint account to cover Courtney's historical contributions. I didn't want to be accused of financial abuse. I added security cameras at the front door and garage, changed the Wi-Fi password, garage door code, and smart lock codes. Didn't change the physical locks yet, but I had a locksmith's number ready. For the next 6 weeks, Courtney posted Instagram stories of desert yoga, bonfire circles, and Damien in linen shirts looking enlightened. She'd video call Luna for maybe 3 minutes, asking nothing about school or friends, just saying, "Mommy's healing." Meanwhile, I did everything. Packed Luna's lunch, helped with homework, read bedtime stories, took her to the pediatrician for a checkup. I documented all of it with photos, emails from teachers, and text messages. The more I did, the more I realized I'd been doing this alone for a long time. Courtney's coming back in 3 days. She texted yesterday, "Flight lands at 3, pick us up. Damien and I talked a lot about our future." I didn't respond. I changed the locks this morning. I know what's coming and honestly, I'm ready. Update 1. Holy shit, Reddit. The past 24 hours have been absolutely insane. Thank you all for the support on my original post. So yesterday was day 42. Courtney texted me at noon, "Flight lands at 3. Pick us up." And then Damien and I talked a lot about our future. I didn't respond. I picked up Luna from daycare at the normal time. I wanted everything to seem routine for her. We stopped for ice cream on the way home because I knew whatever was about to happen, I wanted her to have one normal, happy moment first. Around 4:30 p.m., an Uber pulled up to my house. Courtney got out with her backpack, wearing expensive athleisure and literally glowing like she thought she was the main character in some self-discovery movie. She walked up to the front door, confident as hell, and tried her key. It didn't work. She tried again. Nothing. I watched from the security camera feed on my phone as confusion turned to anger on her face. Then she started pounding on the door, screaming, "Open this freaking door, Darren. You can't lock your wife out of her house." I kid you not, she pulled out her phone and started a FaceTime call with one of her empowerment friends, literally narrating her situation like it was a live documentary. "I just got back from my spiritual journey and my husband has locked me out." Neighbors started coming out. Mrs. Allen across the street opened her door. Mr. Baker started doing fake yard work to get a better view. This is a quiet suburban cul-de-sac in Dallas. We don't do drama here until yesterday. I pulled into the driveway with Luna about 10 minutes later. The moment my car appeared, Courtney whipped around and started marching toward us, yelling, "Darren, you changed the locks. Are you insane?" Luna poked her head up from the back seat. "Dad. Why is Mommy screaming?" I got out, picked Luna up, and said very calmly, "Because she's upset she doesn't live here anymore." Courtney's face went purple. She turned to the growing crowd of neighbors. "He's financially abusing me. He trapped me out of my home." I reached into my bag and pulled out an envelope I'd prepared. Inside was a photocopy of the house deed showing my name only purchased before marriage, a storage unit contract with Courtney's access code, showing all her belongings had been moved there safely with 2 months prepaid. I handed it to her and said exactly one sentence: "Your things are safe. Your home is no longer here." She started screaming that this was illegal, that she was calling the police, that I was abusing her. So she did. She called 911 right there on my lawn. 2 officers showed up about 15 minutes later. By then, Courtney was crying with smeared mascara, yelling at me while I stood there holding Luna, who was starting to cry too. The police separated us. I calmly showed them the deed in my name, the storage unit contract showing her belongings were safe and accessible, my explanation that we were separating and I had every right to secure my property. Courtney was screaming at the other officer about how this was her marriage and I couldn't just close it. Mrs. Allen, bless her, walked up and told the officers she'd witnessed the whole thing, that I'd been calm the entire time and Courtney had been screaming for 20 minutes straight. Mr. Baker backed her up. The officers told Courtney this was a civil matter, not criminal, and that I was within my rights regarding property I solely owned. One of them suggested she contact a lawyer. Mr. Baker had apparently recorded part of Courtney's meltdown on his phone. By this evening, it was circulating in the HOA Facebook group. I took Luna inside, locked the door, and we had dinosaur chicken nuggets for dinner while I tried to explain in 5-year-old terms why Mommy was upset, but everything was going to be okay. Courtney left in another Uber about an hour later, still screaming into her phone. I thought that was the end of it, but read it. I got an email this morning that changes everything. I'll post another update when I can process what I just learned, but holy shit, this goes so much deeper than I thought. Update 2, I don't even know how to start this update. I'm still shaking. Thank you for all the messages checking if I'm okay. So the email I mentioned in my last update, it came from a name I didn't recognize, Claire Ford. The subject line was, "You deserve to know." Claire is Damien's wife. The actual wife, the one he's still legally married to, the one with their 2 kids. She'd found my contact information somehow, and she sent me an email with over 40 screenshots attached. These were text messages between Courtney and Damien, pulled from Damien's iCloud backup, and they were, I'm going to try to summarize without losing my mind. This wasn't just about the affair. They'd been planning something so much darker. There were messages from early February, months before the retreat, where they discussed how to handle the Darren situation. At first I thought they just meant the divorce, but then I kept reading. Damien had recommended a specific lawyer to Courtney, someone who apparently specializes in high-conflict custody cases. The messages talked about Courtney needing to build a case and establish a pattern. One text from Damien said, You need to start documenting everything. Every argument, every time he raises his voice, even if it's just normal stress. Frame it as fear. Courtney's response. What if there isn't enough to document, Damien? Then you create situations. You know how to push his buttons, record his reactions. Even if he's just frustrated, the right lawyer can make it look dangerous. I felt physically sick reading this. They were planning to make me look abusive, to fabricate a domestic violence narrative. Another message from Courtney, dated 3 weeks before she left. Once I have sole custody in the house, you can request transfer to Dallas and we'll finally be together properly. There were also screenshots of a Word document Courtney had apparently been working on, a journal of incidents that I knew never happened. One entry claimed I'd thrown a glass across the kitchen in rage during an argument. That never happened. We'd had a disagreement about finances, and I gestured with my hand while holding a cup and accidentally knocked it off the counter. It was an accident and we both laughed about it at the time. But in her fake journal, it became evidence of my violent temper. The plan was crystal clear. Courtney would come back from the retreat, provoke arguments, secretly record me, and then use carefully edited clips plus her fabricated journal to file for an emergency protective order. She'd claim she feared for Luna's safety, get me removed from my own home, and push for sole custody while I was scrambling to defend myself against false accusations. Then they'd leverage the custody situation to force me to sell the house at a loss just to settle quickly. Claire's email said, I found these while gathering evidence for my own divorce. I've been watching him destroy our family for years, but I never had proof until now. When I saw he was helping someone else do the same thing to their family, I couldn't stay silent. Use this to protect yourself and your daughter. I immediately forwarded everything to my lawyer. She called me within an hour. She said this was one of the most clear-cut cases of conspiracy to make false accusations she'd ever seen, and that it would absolutely destroy Courtney's case if we brought it to court. More than that, deliberately making false DV accusations is taken very seriously by family court judges. Courtney could lose significant custody rights just for attempting this. My lawyer filed 3 motions yesterday: petition for divorce, request for primary physical custody of Luna, and a motion asking the court to note the documented evidence of planned false accusations. We attached everything: the screenshots Claire sent, the draft emails I found on Courtney's laptop, the video of Courtney's public meltdown, police reports, and documentation showing I'd been Luna's primary caregiver for the past 6 weeks, and honestly, much longer. But here's the kicker that happened 2 days ago. Damien threw Courtney under the bus. Apparently, Claire had also reported the affair to Damien's company HR, complete with evidence that he'd been misusing company resources for personal travel and having an inappropriate relationship with a subordinate. Courtney technically reports to his region. To save his own ass, Damien's lawyer advised him to cooperate completely with the investigation and distance himself from Courtney immediately. Courtney got a text from him that just said, "Do not contact me again. I need to focus on my family and my position." According to Claire, who's been keeping me updated, Courtney completely lost it. She tried calling Damien over 50 times in one day. When he blocked her, she went nuclear. Courtney sent HR at Damien's company a long email claiming that Damien had manipulated and coerced her into the affair, and that he'd been the one planning the whole relocation strategy. She tried to paint herself as a victim of his predatory behavior. The problem: Claire had already given HR the text messages showing Courtney was an equal and enthusiastic participant in planning everything. Courtney's attempt to throw Damien under the bus just made her look more manipulative and desperate. HR apparently added her accusations to their file as evidence of her continued pattern of fabricating narratives when convenient. So now Courtney has no access to the house, no romantic partner, he dumped her the second it was convenient, a crumbling career, her company is doing their own investigation, and she's about to walk into a courtroom where all her plans to falsely accuse me are going to be presented to a judge. She tried one last move. She sent me a long email 3 days ago claiming I was emotionally abusive, controlling, jealous, and that she feared for her safety. She demanded to come back to the house to talk about Luna's well-being. I forwarded that email directly to my lawyer. It's now part of our evidence showing Courtney is still trying to build a false narrative even after being caught. Meanwhile, Mr. Baker's video of Courtney's lawn meltdown got shared to a local neighborhood Facebook group. The comments are full of neighbors saying things like, "I've seen him with that little girl at the park. He's always been calm and patient," and she sounded completely unhinged. The court hearing is in 2 weeks. My lawyer says we're in an incredibly strong position. I'll update after the hearing. Luna's doing okay. She misses her mom but understands mommy's staying somewhere else for now. I've kept everything age appropriate and haven't said anything negative about Courtney in front of her. That's more restraint than Courtney deserves, but it's what Luna deserves. Final update. Okay Reddit, I promised I'd update after the court hearing, and holy shit, this is going to be long because so much has happened in the past 3 weeks. First, the court hearing itself. It was 2 weeks ago and it was, honestly, kind of surreal. My lawyer went first and laid out everything. The timeline of Courtney leaving voluntarily for 6 weeks, the documentation that I'd been Luna's primary caregiver. We had emails from her teacher, statements from her pediatrician, even a letter from my parents, the video of the lawn meltdown, the police report, and then the big one, the screenshots from Claire Ford showing the conspiracy to make false DV accusations. Courtney's lawyer tried to paint her as a woman who'd been driven to desperate measures by an emotionally controlling husband, but the judge wasn't having it. At one point, the judge looked directly at Courtney and asked, "Ma'am, if your husband is so dangerous and controlling, why did you voluntarily leave your 5-year-old daughter alone with him for 6 weeks while you were at a resort in Arizona?" Courtney couldn't answer. She started crying and saying something about finding herself and needing to heal, but it just sounded weak and selfish even to her own ears. Then Courtney's lawyer tried a different angle, claimed I'd ambushed her by changing the locks and that it showed vindictive behavior. My lawyer calmly presented the draft emails we'd found on Courtney's laptop, showing the affair had been going on for months, and she'd planned to leave the state with Luna. The judge actually put his pen down and stared at Courtney for a solid 10 seconds before saying something I'll never forget. Attempting to fabricate domestic violence accusations to manipulate custody proceedings is one of the most serious violations of trust this court can consider. It doesn't just harm the falsely accused parent, it harms the child, and it harms actual victims of abuse by making their claims less credible. So in the end, I got primary physical custody of Luna. Courtney gets visitation every other weekend and 1 evening per week, supervised for the first 3 months. She cannot take Luna out of state without written court permission. The judge's written order specifically noted that Courtney's demonstrated intent to fabricate abuse allegations was deeply concerning and that any future attempts would result in further restriction of her parental rights. I nearly cried right there in the courtroom. Luna stays with me, in our home, safe. But that's not even the craziest part. The fallout from all of this has been nuclear. Damien got demoted. Not fired, but moved to some satellite office 3 hours away, stripped of his regional director title, and lost his entire bonus structure. Apparently, the company's investigation found he'd been expensing personal travel and having an inappropriate relationship with someone in his reporting structure. His wife Claire is still divorcing him, and from what I heard through the grapevine, Claire and I have exchanged a few emails. She's getting primary custody of their kids and a significant portion of their assets. Courtney lost her job. Her desperate attempt to blame everything on him actually backfired. It just gave HR more evidence of the whole mess and made them take the investigation even more seriously. They decided they didn't want the drama or the liability of keeping someone who'd been involved in an affair with a superior while plotting false legal accusations. They quietly let her go during their own HR review. She had to move into a cramped 2-bedroom apartment with a friend because she can't afford anything else. Meanwhile, she's still posting on Instagram with captions about being a survivor of a narcissist and reclaiming my divine feminine power, but anyone local who knows what actually happened just rolls their eyes. Last week, Luna asked me, "Dad, why doesn't Mommy want to play with me when I visit?" Apparently during Courtney's supervised visitations, Courtney spends half the time on her phone and the other half trying to explain adult concepts to a 5-year-old who just wants to color and play pretend. It breaks my heart, but I'm also grateful Luna has me as her stable parent. As for me, my life has actually gotten better, way better. Luna's thriving. We have our new routine now. Every night we do homework, read a chapter of whatever book we're on, and then she gets 30 minutes of tablet time before bed. Weekends are Lego builds, playground trips, and sometimes we drive out to this little lake an hour away for picnics. And about 6 months ago, I started seeing someone. Her name is Lena. She's a pediatric nurse at the same hospital where I work. We'd actually met a few times before because she'd been on shift when I brought Luna in for checkups, and she remembered me as the dad who always comes alone and knows all the appointment details. We ran into each other in the hospital cafeteria, started talking, and now, Lena is incredible with Luna. She doesn't try to be her mom. She's just this warm, steady presence who helps with art projects and laughs at Luna's terrible knock-knock jokes. She respects boundaries, never asks me to bad-mouth Courtney, and understands that Luna comes first always. We're taking it slow, but it feels right in a way my marriage never did. The house is peaceful. No screaming, no Instagram lives from the front yard, no more walking on eggshells wondering when my wife would start another growth journey that was really just code for an affair. I look back at that night Courtney told me she was opening our marriage, and I realized that was the night my real life started. Not because the marriage ended, but because I finally saw clearly what I'd been dealing with, and I decided to protect my daughter and myself. Courtney tried to weaponize the system against me. She tried to use false abuse accusations, manipulate custody laws, and paint me as dangerous so she could take everything I'd built. But the very system she tried to abuse gave me my daughter, my home, and my peace. I'm going to step away from Reddit for a while now. I've got a kindergartner's parent-teacher conference tomorrow, then Lena and I are taking Luna to the Science Museum this weekend. Just normal, boring, beautiful life stuff. Thanks for everything, Reddit. This community got me through the darkest time of my life.